Hello, everybody, and welcome to Liberty North High School. It is football season 2019. Hard to believe it's already football season here in the middle of August. A beautiful August evening. It's not 185 degrees like normal, Gary. It's a great night to see what the Wildcats and the rest of these guys got in store for the season.
Beautiful evening, beautiful day. If we just get these on all Friday nights, it's going to be great. Unfortunately, it probably won't happen.
Tonight will be fun to kind of see what the Wildcats have going this year. You know, Harrisonville's never shied away from competition in the past, and it's no different on Jamboree night. You got the little Class 4 engine that could in the Wildcats, and then you have the big bad Class 6 schools in Liberty North, Ray-Pec, and, as I just lost my train of thought, Lee Summit. So we got 3 Class 6 schools and a Class 4 school, and it's a good test early on. Jamboree, we talked about it on the way up, Gary. We're not going to know anything after tonight, really, honestly. I've said every year that I've watched at Jamboree and Harrisonville has been terrible. They've had an amazing season. The years that they've looked really, really good, they've had some subpar by Wildcat standard seasons. Last year being one, me and Jerry went up to the one at Lee Summit last year, and the Wildcats looked really good last year during the Jamboree, and then they hit some speed bumps during the year. They had some injuries, and it wasn't the season they had planned, but they turned around second half of the year, found themselves a starting quarterback, and made it all the way to the district championship game, 6th year in a row. Obviously, times have changed now. A couple of days before the season started, Coach Maxwell stepped down as the head coach, still going to be the athletic director, but wanted to spend some more time with family. And as anybody that's been a football parent, football wife, football coach knows, we got one right here behind us. Football season means you're not at home a lot. So totally understand him stepping to the side, be able to watch his girls play their sports and all of that. Going to take a little bit of adjustment, but I think the Cats are in good hands. You have 2 assistant coaches that have been with Maxwell for at least 13 years. Coach Schenker, who took over the program, has been an assistant at Harrisonville for 19 years, the longest tenured coach, assistant, or head in school history. So they're still in good hands, and the kids know all of the coaches. It's not like a random new coach coming in at the last minute. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes tonight and throughout the season.
Yeah, familiarity was going to be the key as far as with the replacement, and you're right with Coach Schenker taking over as the temporary head coach, or whatever they called it. I think it's going to be good for the team. It's not going to be a big adjustment. Going back to what you said as far as playing the Class 6 schools, that's been what Harrisonville always loved to do. They always like to go and play teams that are bigger than them. Going to give them a lot of competition, because it always gives them the opportunity to see what they're capable of doing against a school that has so much more, not talent, but so much more availability as far as players. So I'm excited to watch them. I had the opportunity to watch them last week to the blue-white scrimmage, and got to watch some of the practices during this summer. And I'm excited for what I've seen, and I'm excited to finally see Friday nights to get here.
Absolutely, and like we said, we're not going to know a lot tonight. Tonight will be a little bit different for you for a Wildcat broadcast. We're not going to be calling play-by-play of the Jamboree. We're going to have the camera on the Cats. We may split screen it. We may have the whole field going so you can see, let's say, Liberty North and Lee Summit on one side, Harrisonville and Ray-Pec on the other. We're just going to give you kind of a glimpse into the Wildcats. We're going to talk about the Wildcats as the night goes on, who their starting quarterback, who their offense is going to look like, what their defense looks like, and we're just going to have some fun with it tonight. I got to mention, this is our first Friday night without Mr. Ron Allschlager in 4 years. Ron's been our camera guy for the last several years. Talked to him this summer. He just was not available to be able to do it this fall. So we have a new camera woman this year. Larissa Lamb is going to be our camera person this year. She goes to UCM. She's she majors in this type of stuff. So we got somebody that probably knows even more than Jerry does technology wise. We may just boot Jerry out of the booth and let her go to town on all this electronic stuff back here. We may put you on the camera, Jerry. So, nevertheless, we're going to miss Ron. I think one of the reasons we have one of the best broadcasts in the Kansas City area is because we've all been together for several years. We have a familiarity with each other. So, big shoes for Larissa to fill into, but I think she'll do just fine.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
We are about, I want to say 15-ish minutes maybe away from an opening.
Boy, you hit that right.
Right on the head. They don't really have anything on the scoreboard. You're not going to be able to keep score, so it'll just kind of be as they decide to roll. I don't see any officials out there yet, so they'll have a couple of sets of officials. It looks to me like it'll be Lee Summit and Ray Peck on the north side of the field to start things tonight, and it looks like it'll be the Wildcats and Liberty North on the south side.
Has he been practicing that, Jerry? I think he has.
I will say this. One of the things me and Gary talked about on the way up here, numbers are down across the state in football. However, looking down at Ray Peck and on the Lee Summit side, they have some pretty stellar numbers. I didn't feel like Liberty North had a ton of numbers, but I will say this. Liberty North, if there's one thing you can determine that's a little bit different between Liberty North and the other three squads, I haven't yet to see Ray Peck out there. Liberty North has got some big boys on their fronts. And I will tell you this, that is a staple of a Greg Jones football team, is it's in the trenches, and he's going to go after you on the offensive and defensive sides on the lines. And so it'll be interesting to see if they control the line of scrimmage when they play the Wildcats. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of this Jamboree. We're going to take a timeout. We're not going to have our sponsors playing commercials tonight because we do have some of last year's commercials, but we don't have everybody's new commercials set up. So we don't feel like it would be fair to do some of them and not do others. But we will run down a list of the sponsors. I'm going to do that right now. And then you will still see the broadcast going. You'll just hear some dead air as we take a timeout and breathe for a minute. Our sponsors so far this year, and remember, you still have a week or two to get signed up. Troby's Maytag Home Appliance Center, Show Me Auto Mall, Holland Auto Sales, Max Ford of Harrisonville, Lacey Dominic, Shelter Insurance, Cameron Chenoweth, American Family Insurance, Young's Tire and Young's Tire and Wheel Center and Young's Automotive, Sherwood Community Bank, American Heritage Realtors, Forged by Fire, the new Uptown Event Center going in on the other side of town, right over by the Dollar General, and the Suzy Q, which was previously the Peculiar Drive-In. Brad Sainer of Farmers Insurance, Hawthorne Bank, new to the broadcast this year, Sherwood Heating and Cooling, also new to the broadcast. Of course, Schroeder Chiropractic, Stafford and Stafford Insurance, Atkinson Funeral Home, the Harrisonville Area Chamber of Commerce, the Dickey Cottage, Quality Auto, new to the broadcast this year, Sonic and Trade Fair. Those are our great sponsors. We will take a time out. If you would like more information about being a sponsor and an advertiser on 4Ts, get a hold of Jerry or myself or Gary, and we will get you taken care of. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Liberty North High School, just north of Liberty, Missouri, right off of 291, a stone's throw from I-35. We are up here in the Northland, as people like to call it, and there's some good football up in the Northland. Kearney, right up the road. We'll be there next Friday night, Gary. So we're getting familiar with the Northland here to start things off. Smithville, great team last year. They went all the way to the state semifinals. You also have Platte County up here, and then, of course, you got Liberty North, Staley. I mean, we want to roll down the list. They've got some good football up here in the Northland.
Oh, absolutely. And it's that kind of football that you want to play against, you want to compete against, because it only makes you better. I was looking over the sidelines just a minute ago. I noticed that Chase Reynolds isn't suited up. He's got his jersey on, but he's not suited up. I'm not sure why. And obviously, I think probably a lot of people already know that Landon George, who quarterbacked the first part of last year, was injured earlier in the summer, and he had shoulder surgery, and he will not be playing this year. So looking forward to seeing, what we're going to have as far as the backup quarterback for this season, because you always need that, because you never know when you might come into play. And obviously it happened last year. I mean, when Landon went down, Riley was able to step in. So
well, and I think the biggest thing about a backup quarterback for the Wildcats this year is you're gonna change the offense 100%. If something happens to River Riley is a drop back. He can roll out a little bit, but he can sling the ball down the field. He's wanting to throw the ball. He's not going to be that typical Wildcat runner we've had in the past at quarterback. We can go through the long list, and your son being one of them. All the Wildcat quarterbacks in the past have been able to run the football a little bit. River's not that type, and River's not that type of build either. Zach was about 6'3", about 215. River's about 6'2" and 165, and that's probably being very, very generous to River Riley. But nevertheless, he can throw the football, and he proved he can start at the varsity level last year because they had a complete turnaround putting him in there at starter.
As a sophomore. And, it'll be interesting to see. You wonder about Jace, why he wasn't suited up tonight. But at the same time, this doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. If, let's say, he got a bruise on his knee, dinged his knee or something, we don't know what it was. And tonight you're going to want him out anyway because it doesn't mean anything for you. The beautiful thing about River being able to come in last year was it gave him some varsity experience because, as we all know, from junior varsity to varsity or freshman junior varsity to varsity, the play is much faster each step you go up. And having him having the opportunity last year as a sophomore to be able to compete at that level and play at that level is a huge benefit to this year's team.
Absolutely. And, talking to Coach Maxwell in the summer before, he had stepped down and talking to Coach Meeks and the rest of the coaching staff, people don't realize how valuable that playing time was. Like the last 5 games of the year, 3 of those games are in district. They're win-or-go-home games. They get all the way to the district championship game. Those are huge games for a sophomore to be playing in, and he played well. And what I like the most about River Riley, what I see the most that I like about him is he doesn't get flustered. He's just I fumbled it. Walk over to the sideline, go back out there, and forget about it the next play. And the best quarterbacks are the ones that don't leave the play on the field. They don't leave it in their head coming through. And looking at the Wildcats as they're just getting ready to line up, they're going to go on offense first against, looks like Elise Summit. Or no, that is Ray Peck. So it is Ray Peck that they're going against.
And I can't see who's at running back right now with back in the backfield.
I think that's Ray Peck. I could be.
It is.
And here they go, a little throw out into the flats and dropped on the near side here by Colby Knowles.
Okay, Drayden Polk lined up in the backfield with River that time, but they were going 2 wide or 4 wide to each side. In watching River this year in the preseason, or if you want to call it the preseason, in practices, he's done a very good job of being able to roll out when he needs to and throw from that position as well. So looking forward to seeing how well he's able to accommodate with that.
Well, you know, you got the slot receiver. You got Percival on the inside, a little bit smaller type of receiver. He's going to be your Edelman type of receiver on the inside. And they're going to hand it right up the middle to Drayden Polk, and he's going to get a good old chunk of yardage there as we're just underway here from the Jamboree. Cats offense on the field to start things. Just to give you a little bit of a kind of rundown of who you're going to see out there for the Wildcats on that first team. You're going to have River Riley at quarterback, obviously. You're going to have Tarwater. You have Braden Tarwater. You're going to have Kennedy Atkinson, Colby Knowles at receivers. You're also going to have Percival out there. And then when the regular season hits, I think you're going to see a lot of Jace Reynolds. You're going to see some Carson Crowley in the backfield. You're also going to see Pesic in the backfield, and then Drayden Polk as well. So Cats are going to mix it up a little bit. They've got a veteran line this year. You know, we talk about that a little bit. Looking to throw. They throw it out in the flats on the near side.
And just like we talked, he rolled out that time, had a good open receiver, was able to connect. So it's going to be 4th and short. That time we did have Crowley in the backfield, replace Polk. And like you said, there's going to be some Pesic in the background as well. He's coming back from an injury last year, the last game of the season in the districts. And so
back and forth they're going to go here. It'll be a 4th down play. They're going to run 12 plays in this one. And they throw it Atkinson wide open over the middle.
Excellent throw.
Inside the 20. Great throw.
Excellent throw. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot of that Riley Atkinson and Riley Knowles connections. But you're going to see a lot of Percival too. Like you said, Percival's kind of that smaller receiver slot, but he does a great job.
Well, and what's great about this is as they're running through their offense here, we'll let you to keep watching the offense as they go. They're spreading things out. Now they got a 3 wide receiver set to one side. They're going out of the shotgun formation, something we haven't seen from the Cats in the past. And they've got a lot of guys that can catch the football. Oh, ball popped out, and that will be recovered by the defense. Just helmet right on the ball right there on the near side. I believe that was Tarwater maybe.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And, you know, here's the thing is with the Cats offense, they've got playmakers at the receiver position. We talked about it on the way up here, Gary. You know, usually in the past we've had that one receiver that can go down and catch the ball, maybe possibly a 2, but there's 3 gifted receivers out there all over 6 foot tall. Colby Knowles, Kennedy Atkinson, and Tarwater. And then you've got the good possession receiver in Percival. So you double team any one of those 3 guys, somebody's going to be open and going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage. So it'll be interesting to see how Coach Meeks goes about it with the offense, if they do stick with the shotgun-type formations.
Again, 3 receivers to the right. Hand off to Crowley. Didn't get back to the line of scrimmage.
And I would imagine we're going to see a lot of passing out of the Cats tonight for a simple reason. You're going up against Class 6 teams. Even how well our offensive line is going to be this year at the Class 4 level, you can see the definite size difference between Harrisonville and these Class 6 schools.
A lot of beef up front. And Pesic just came in, so we're going to get our first look at him as well. Different runner than what you're going to see from Crowley and Polk.
And we are playing Lee Summit.
We are?
Yes. I thought it was, but I had to look down on the sideline at their pants. So Ray Peck is in all black over here.
Okay. Colby Knowles just caught that pass from Riley.
And something you're also going to hear from us the first couple of weeks, I will be gone for the home opener against Maryville. I'll be in Houston that weekend. So Gary is going to be our play-by-play guy that night. And a lot of you obviously have heard Gary the last couple of years. Then Jason Leary, who was my color guy when you were gone, you weren't able to make it. You were spending some time with the grandkids last year. He's going to be your color commentator. So it'll both be familiar voices. It'll be Gary, obviously, on the mic with the play call. And so over this week and then a little bit next week, we're just going to kind of rotate through, let Gary have a little bit of play-by-play experience as we roll through as well. So
going to be much needed. The bad thing about it is, how many years of experience do you have at this?
15th year. I was counting it up. This is my 15th year of broadcasting. So,
and I have never done play-by-play. I've done color for how many ever years I've been here.
You and Jared, you did a basketball play-by-play.
Well, yeah, that was a little bit different.
I'm telling you though, basketball play-by-play is about 10 times harder than football play-by-play. It's up and down the floor. It's like cross timeline goes to the right side wing, left side wing. I mean, it's back and forth, back and forth.
See, you do that. I don't. We got a second. Looks like second team came in, so we're going to see a little bit about who's that and who's. I'm interested who's going to be playing quarterback for us.
I believe this summer, talking to the coaches, I think they had said if they were going to go with another quarterback, it'd be Tarwater, and that is who is in there right now at quarterback is Tarwater. But what I like to see though is they're still going with that spread offense with the shotgun formation.
But you're soon going to see, and other teams will see, if he's going to be able to accommodate that spread, and hopefully he will be able to. The nice thing about it is if he's got a little bit different touch as far as rolling out and being able to run with the ball, they're going to have to account for him as a runner. And so it's going to be interesting to see how things go. But I'm excited. I'm just excited football season's here.
Same as I am. You know, what's funny is I was talking to Braxton the other day. It was before the Chiefs preseason started, and you know he got a new jersey for his birthday. He got a Mahomes jersey for his birthday, and I like that right there. You see Tarwater scrambling around and getting away from a tackle. It would have been a should be sack, and he scrambled out of that first sack. Like to see that from your backup type quarterback, strong kid. But anyway, Braxton goes, "Well, Dad, are the Chiefs ever going to play again?" I said, "Well, buddy, actually, yes, they're getting ready to play again." So, you know, I think he's going to be one of those kids. Is it football season yet? Because he's ready for it.
Drayden Polk's in there again. 3 out to the right and 1 to the left with Tarwater. Hand off to Drayden. He's going to get a first down or close to it.
And, you know, here's the funny thing, too, is you know it's as vanilla as it comes offensively. Oh, yeah. When you have – it's kind of like that Chiefs-Steelers preseason game last week. Steelers were doing a lot of blitzing in that first half, and after that second series, Andy Reid was like, okay, I wasn't ready for them to be doing a bunch of blitzing. Let's take Patrick out of the ball game. And then the rest of the game was a snooze fest.
I think we failed to do the line, and I want to real quickly, this is what I had from last week, and I'm not sure that this is who started tonight, but Carson Graff was at left guard, guard, and Brian Garlock was at guard. You had tackles of Rogers and Campbell, and at center was Jacob Poisel, who was out there last week. And so now we're on defense.
Oh, Kyron Beavers almost got a sack there first play. The quarterback going to run and scramble for 10 yards for a first down. That is a good-sized quarterback, and this is the only thing I don't like about the Jamborees. I don't have rosters for the other 3 schools. But a sizable kid and hard to bring down kid for Lee Summit.
But it's a great test for our defense because our defense is going to have, if you recall, we had a couple of games last year where we had runner quarterbacks that were out there and could throw the ball as well. You got to contain him.
Well, and you know, something we'll have to watch is the stamina of the Wildcats, as they're going to have a lot of guys going both ways. You look down there on the field, you hear the roar of the crowd. On the other end of the field, Liberty North goes for a touchdown. But a lot of those Wildcats out there are the same guys that are on the offensive side of the ball. You got Tarwater out there. You have Brody Rogers up on the line, Carson Graff on the line. You have Trevor Campbell up on the line.
Three starters on offense, on the line on defense.
And then you got, you know, looking at your cornerbacks, you've got Colby Knowles on one side, Braden Tarwater on the other side. So a lot of guys going to go both ways here. Of course, you've got several different cats out there. Kyron Beavers is going to be playing on the defensive side of the ball. Colin Carruthers will be on the defensive side of the ball. Those are going to be outside linebackers. You see Pesic in there in the middle, along with Poisel in the middle as well at the middle linebacker spot. So, and if there's one thing the Cats have got to improve on from last year, we all know it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, as they struggled to stop people at times last year. That being said, a lot of that goes with the competition you played, especially early in the season, and it's no different for the Cats this year, Gary, as that first four games is the gauntlet that they threw down. You've got your at Kearney, then you open up the home slate against Maryville, and then you have another home slate. That'll be a touchdown throw right there by Lee Summit on the Wildcats.
Blue Valley.
Yeah, Blue Valley Northwest at home, and then you travel to Columbia Battle. And you know what's crazy? A lot of people look back at that Columbia Battle game last year, and they talk about, oh my gosh, you guys got destroyed by Columbia Battle. Well, what people don't understand about that game, that was a 7-point game at halftime. It was a track meet. And we had a 300-yard rusher in that game. First time in school history somebody's running for 300 yards. It was that about a seven-play situation, I believe, in the third quarter, where they scored on a kick return, a fumble return, an interception return, and a long touchdown, all within, I believe, like 5 minutes of one another. They ended up scoring 89 points in the ball game. Gary's got all the stats. He's going to find it. He's looking feverishly through those stats so we can kind of go back, and coaches are probably like, hey, don't go back. I don't want to relive that game at all. Jailhouse blitz by the Cats, but nothing doing, and down the sideline goes Lee Summit again. You know, and something to think about too, with all three of these other schools on the field with the Wildcats tonight, any one of these three teams could make a run on the Class 6 side, as they are all very solid football programs. Lee Summit showing they've got a signal caller. Last time Lee Summit had a really good signal caller. People may remember his name. He's now a Denver Bronco, Drew Locke. But he is throwing darts out there and into the end zone for another score. There was whistles out there. So Lee Summit going to wide open it looks like.
Yeah, Jason Wilson last year on 23 carries, 282 yards, and let's see, how many touchdowns did he have? He had 4 touchdowns as well. So,
and do you have? Okay, so here we go. Let's as we're looking here. Where do we go to the third quarter? Right here. Okay, so they turned it over on downs, and they had touchdown. Or no, this is ours.
This is ours. Right?
Yeah. So
here's theirs.
Theirs was touchdown in one play. That was a kick return. Then a touchdown, one play, 85-yard fumble return, touchdown. That shows you just how quickly that game turned and showed you the end score. I believe the final score was 89.
79 to.
Was it 79 or 89?
I've got 79. 79 to 39.
Okay, 79-39. So it wasn't 89. I thought it was 89. Well, nevertheless, it was a whole lot of points.
It's a fun game to watch in the first half.
It was. It was a great game in the first half, second half. And what I tell people, people look at the schedule again, those first 4 games, and they're just trying to decipher win, loss, loss, win, what it might be. Liberty North again scores on Ray Peck. A couple of times we've heard those cheers down there. Like Lee Summit is going with a different quarterback here. They throw it out in the flats. Wrapped up at about the 2 or 3 yard line. A lot of new faces out there defensively. This is where you just kind of rotating guys in and out. It's always fun. It's always fun to get on the message boards too after a jamboree, Gary, and read who won. Who won the jamboree? You're like, come on. Like if you're worried about who won the jamboree, you're probably not going to have a great season.
Well, it's kind of like preseason for NFL football. I mean, you're not gonna the starters aren't going to be in there all the time, obviously, but this is the time to be able to see what your depth is going to be able to give you.
Absolutely.
And you want to be able to have some depth, and you want them to be able to have the opportunity to prove themselves, number one, and also play at that level and speed.
Another touchdown by Liberty North. Voicing by the crowd, they're running roughshod over Ray Peck, but I don't know what Ray Peck did, as most of their fans are on the opposite side of the field. So I didn't hear a lot of roars when they were on the offensive side.
Plus, you've got almost a whole section of student body down here, so anything halfway good happens, they're going to yell and scream, and you're going to hear it.
I love we'll have to get Larissa to pan over there here in a minute.
Oh,
the yard marker on the far side of the field. Another touchdown. I'm not sure who we've got going out there for the Cats. Several youngsters out there for both squads, but on the far side, the yard markers over here. We'll have Larissa pan over to that on the far side.
30-yard line on the other side.
There's the first down marker is just regular, and then at the end where you have to get to, it's digital, and it says 10 yards to go. I've never seen that before. That is really awesome. We need to get one of those.
We do need to get one of those. It'll make my job a lot easier when I'm doing stats.
Right. When they put up a 4 yards ago, well, that was a 6-yard run. Hey, you've got some connections. You may need to make a phone call or two. That would be awesome. Maybe Fort Tees needs to look into that. We'll sponsor the yard markers here.
Well, he could put Fort Tees on the very top. So
there you go. So we'll see now. Does it go to 12 yards? See, I'm excited about this. This is what Jamboree football is all about. We find all kinds of new things to talk about. I have never seen a digital yard marker like that.
Well, you would think if it was anywhere, it'd be in the pros.
I guess they don't let them go backwards. Yeah, and I've never seen one ever.
Yeah.
Well, but they didn't. 10. Yeah. So now.
Now we're going to be watching.
We're so excited because they're number one. Our side is already done. So now we got to wait, and the wait of the century is to see if they change. We'll see if they change it to 7 yards because it should be 7 now.
Or 8. It should be 8. There it is.
Oh, wait. It's going back and forth.
Well, it's actually 8 yards, but.
Nevertheless, that's pretty neat.
That is neat.
There
it is, see?
There you go. See, I think there's something. How does that work? Boy, the joys of preseason football. You find fun stuff to talk about.
Well, I guess we're going to be able to see if it shows 4th and 13 or 14 now.
Well, they didn't move it back last time, so that was what was weird. Unless they
won't put it behind the 40.
Yeah. Okay. So at least go back to 10 yards. But the Wildcats are done on their side with Lee Summit. So we will see a rotation here. And I think what they're going to do is rotate counterclockwise, maybe. So if that's the case, then.
Now they'll either go across to an angle or straight across to mix it, and then they'll do the opposite.
So both teams, all 4 teams going to shake hands. The first round of the Jamboree is done. Cats still have Ray Peck and Liberty North to go in this one at the Jamboree. Welcome everybody listening and watching our live broadcast of the Jamboree. If you're tuned in and we're boring, you can let us know because we're not talking about a whole lot of craziness. But nevertheless, we are having fun.
Escondido, California. Tyler Brown's grandfather, number 36.
Awesome. Tyler Brown. So now we got to make sure we notice when Tyler Brown is out there on this next series and let his grandfather know as they are listening or watching live from California. You just never know who may be listening and watching. So we're going to take a break. We're going to breathe a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back watching some more Jamboree football on 4T's broadcasting and 4T streaming. Welcome back to Liberty North High School Jamboree time in the state of Missouri. Your first look at the 2019 Harrisonville Wildcats, and the Jamboree Round 2 is about to be a battle of Cass County as the large neighbors to the north and the Wildcats are going to do battle. Ray-Peck and Harrisonville going to do battle here on this side of the field. They're going to stay on the south side of the field. So Cats will have Ray-Peck, and then they will have the Liberty North Eagles the last go-round.
Do you want to mention the cost of that? So if somebody wants to maybe buy that for Harrisonville, it's not what I expected. But
as we looked it up in online, Google's a wonderful tool. Found online, it is a laser yard marker set, and it is for the low cost of $39.95. That's $3,995.
yeah, not $39.95.
Because if it was $39.95, me and Gary would probably go buy one after the Jamboree tonight because we think it's so neat. So $3,995 can be all yours for the Wildcats. And I bet we could put a big old sign on top of it for whoever wanted to purchase that for the Wildcats. It could be we're still looking. Maybe Excalibur, they've been a good sponsor of ours in the past. Maybe we can have the Excalibur yard markers. So
as Harrisonville goes on defense against Ray-Peck, just had an incomplete pass by their quarterback.
So Cats will start defensively this time.
Again, the same three on the line as last. Looks like the same whole group that's out there.
So offensively, the Cats, we know that defense is what we want to kind of watch on here. Ray-Peck going right up the middle here. And, at this point, too, you get to those battle of attrition here as everybody's like, I'm just going to run the ball. We got 12 more plays here, 12 plays there. One of those type of don't want to show too much in the preseason vanilla type offense. Basically what the Jamboree is designed to do is to give you a little bit of a game feel for your team and allows you to start hitting on somebody. It's been the last, let's say, 2.5 months, you've been knocking on each other every day. You got your two-a-days, which oddly enough, there were not two-a-days this year with the way that the season started. The 12th was the first day of practice, so a lot of schools around the state did not have any two-a-days because they started school on that Wednesday and teachers were already in session during the day. So this just gives you an opportunity to play against somebody different and try to get something going on the offensive and defensive side and see what you have in a limited capacity, so to speak.
Well, and also importantly as well out there on the field are a whole bunch of referees and white hats, and it gives them the opportunity because they really don't have two-a-days or practices during the summer, so this gives them a game capability as well to get prepared for the season.
Go end zone here, and
good job by Percival.
However, the receiver still hauled that one in.
No, Percival got it.
Oh, they said it was an interception.
Yep,
okay,
Percival got it.
I thought
he got beat, but he recovered very well and got back and was able to get in front of the receiver.
So it'll put him back at the 40. So a turnover by Ray-Peck there.
I really like what we've done here defensively with this group. I mean, we held them to a 4th and 5. They got a first down because they blitzed off the end. They were able to blitz off the end and got a pass in, but then they just got an interception in the end zone. So,
we talked about it before this, and we're going to see them next is Liberty North for the last round of this Jamboree. We said a staple of Greg Jones' teams is on the line of scrimmage. And that's about the 3rd or 4th time I've looked over there, and they've reeled off a 30 or 40-yard run. They're owning the line of scrimmage. And that doesn't say much for us coming up next because their boys up front are large.
Oh, very large.
If I had a bet, I would say each one of their offensive linemen is going 6'3", 6'4", and all over the 250 mark. Trip up in the secondary there by Percival again. But what you don't want to see out of the Wildcat defensively is a lot of tackles from your secondary, because that means they are getting to that second line of defense and getting big chunks of yardage.
Colin Crothers, we hadn't mentioned his name. He was out there. He just went out. Not sure who came in to replace him.
You know, we were talking, too, in the timeout. Remember, one of the easiest ways to see the Wildcat broadcast on a Friday night is to go ahead and sign up, go to YouTube, and subscribe to the 4T's streaming channel. Doing that will give you, on a Friday, it will give you an update, or it'll give you a,
You click the bell.
if you click on the bell on there, it will give you an alert on Fridays of what time. Usually 6:30 is when we'll go on the air, around that time. But that way you don't have to search it, get on YouTube and search it. It'll just pop up every Friday when you, if you're watching it on your big screen at home, all you got to do is pull up YouTube, and it's going to be the first thing you see is that 4T's streaming on your subscription. So that is an easier way for you to be able to follow on a Friday night.
Looks like the second group is going to be coming in for both teams.
Again, real vanilla stuff going on out there. We haven't seen the Wildcat offense in a little bit, so we'll talk about them a little bit when they come back around here. They will go last in this one, and then we will have the last round with Liberty North and Harrisonville. Coach Jones, I wonder if he still has any ill will towards that 2016 state championship game. That was his last game at Kearney, and me and Jerry teased last year. He had a couple of long runs in that game, or in the Jamboree against us. I said he probably wanted to make sure to make a point that he could still run the football on us. As the year before, they struggled a little bit against Harrisonville. But he's done. You can tell he's done a great job. He's definitely a weight room guy. You can tell just the size of the kids on the Liberty North side over here. They are built and big. Cats gave up a touchdown there that last play. Ray-Peck out there. Showing a little bit of a blitz, and the Cats are going to get in the backfield. A lot of these are second.
That's a freshman, Alex Bullock, that just made that tackle in the backfield.
Lee Summit got another interception or something as they ran about 40 yards on our side of the field. Everybody's looking around wondering what was going on. Running players in and out.
Norris Vance just came in.
He's just a sophomore.
I think he's got some wheels on him as well. So,
tell you what, that was Joe Esco got in the backfield there on that one, a junior, name we haven't heard from in the past. That's one of the fun things about high school football too, Gary, is every year you get a couple of guys that just come out of nowhere that were from like to their sophomore to their junior year. They had the big growth spurt. They hit the gym real hard, and you're like, who's this guy?
Well, last year was a difficult year because there was a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing. I mean, as we've got a lot of sophomores and juniors playing this year.
Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. Good job by the Cats there.
And that was Luke Burrows. He's a freshman as well. Had a blitz off the end and got his hands up right at the right time.
Got some good length, does Burrows.
Looks like Wildcats offense is coming in.
I like the way the defense looked a little bit better there, especially the first round guys,
Sure.
Changed it up after the second and third. Hard, like it is. It's just hard to get a feel of, how did they look? Well, I don't know. They played 6 plays. That's all we got there. So River Riley and company, again, the names to watch on the Wildcats offensively this year. Obviously the quarterback, River Riley, now a junior. Kennedy Atkinson, a junior wide receiver, Colby Knowles, a senior wide receiver, and then Tarwater, a senior wide receiver, and Percival as well. In the backfield, you're going to have Polk back there. You're going to have several different guys in the backfield. I think Jace Reynolds and Pesic are going to be your two that you see the most of this year, in and out of the hands of Kennedy Atkinson there on the far side. And again, nothing fancy, little 5-yard out, just throwing the ball out there quickly. Don't want to get, go super downfield, try to get your quarterback hurt in the Jamboree or anything.
I was surprised a little bit earlier on both sides, watching they're letting the defense play with the quarterback a lot more than I expected. Probably a lot of that though comes from the coaches, whether or not they want their quarterback hit or not, or if they're going to have a quick whistle.
Well, and what I'll be interested to see as these Jamborees continue, where you may see a little bit more of like a controlled scrimmage type, where all the quarterbacks, all it's going to take is one coach at a major high school that's won some state titles and their quarterback gets hit and tears an ACL or breaks a collarbone or something. They're going to say, hey, no more hitting on our quarterbacks, and that's probably what will happen.
Well, I think there was a lot of breaths the first game of the Chiefs game whenever some quarterback took off running and would have probably normally went into the end zone.
He goes, that's regular season. I'm taking that in, as he said after the game.
Absolutely.
But he got smart about the 2-yard line. He's like, yeah, I better go down right here.
Okay, so now we've got 2 wide to the right, 1 to the left. You got Pesic, and I'm not sure if that's Carruthers.
I think that is Crowley in the backfield.
Okay. Great block. Great block. Obviously see why they had him in there. He came across, was Pesic on a kick out where and
I think you're going to see a lot of that this year, Gary, where Josh is going to be your almost pseudo fullback in that offense. He's going to be the guy that's going to get you that extra block. He came off that wing, like you said, and drilled, and ended up being about a 7-yard gain for the Cats. So,
or he's going to get you that 1 yard that you need.
Yeah. A 4th down play coming up for the Cats. Obviously, you're in a Jamboree. You're not going to be punting anything away here. So see if they dial up on a 4th and 3 or 4. Riley rolls out, throws it a little short for Pesic on the near side. So they'll reset their downs here.
I have really enjoyed watching River roll out and throw the ball. He has thrown the ball well rolling, and that could be an important part of this year as far as getting him a little bit more time, giving the receivers a little bit more time. And he's been accurate on deep throws, not just the 5 and 10 yard outs, but on some of the deep throws that he's been throwing as well. But we might see, as you said it, pardon me, earlier, where we usually would maybe run 40 running plays and 10 or 15 pass. I think it's going to be pretty much the opposite.
Well, and what I'll like to see is he overthrows everybody on that one, but he chucked it down there quickly, and again, just trying to get rid of the football. What I like about our coaching staff is I've noticed over the last 5 or 6 years, they've really adapted to the talent that they have and the positioning they have. And I know that what's good about this team is they know the I formation and they know the veer. So
they can always go back to it.
You can always go back to it. You can still throw out of that, and that can set up some different type of offense. So it'll be interesting to see this first 4 weeks how things go for the Wildcats.
Well, and I think that was a benefit last year whenever we changed quarterbacks because we had to because of injury. I don't think a lot of people were expecting a lot of the things that River Riley was going to do because they were used to running, and an occasional pass. It was a little bit different towards the end of the season with Riley, especially with the 2 receivers. Well, really all the receivers that we've got back this year were all there, but you had the 2 real tall receivers on the outside, Atkinson and Knowles.
I tell you, one of the things I was looking at, of course, me being ADHD, is
Those are just on me.
one of the things that I'm ADHD about is I like the looks of this.
Oh, good. Good.
Right into the hands of Kennedy Atkinson, just short of the goal line. And as you said, great throw. He just dropped it in there, and Kennedy able to run underneath it. Not too much air under it, just enough air that Kennedy able to run underneath it and have a first and goal. And, we were talking about when you need that 2 yards. Be a good Josh Pesic play right here.
Oh, absolutely.
My goal this year is not to call Josh James one time. We'll see how long that lasts.
I don't know how long that'll last for me because I was so used with James playing with Zach that it seemed like it's all I always did. But Crowley.
I'm pretty sure JR texts us about once a game, goes, guys, it's Josh, not
Right.
James. Gonna go out of that shotgun still. And right to Percival. There's your possession receiver
Absolutely.
right there. Right at the goal line, put it in, and the Cats get a touchdown on the board against Ray Peck. So good-looking offensive drive. That's what that offense with those wide receivers is capable of
absolutely.
doing. So
Well, who would you have thought? You would have thought either Atkinson or Knowles, and it ended up going to
Percival.
So okay, second team came in for Harrisonville. I'm assuming it'll be Tarwater again. And it is going to be Tarwater, and also with, I think that's Polk in the background, or backfield with.
Darius Pearsall, the quarterback for Lee Summit. I had to look that up. I've been really impressed with just watching from the side, watching when he played against Harrisonville, and just he's not afraid to make any of those throws. He's thrown off his back foot a time or two. Very mobile in the pocket, but he's also very accurate down the field. And I wanted to look that up because I wanted to have that information. But Darius Pearsall is the quarterback for Lee Summit. And we won't tell anybody, but Larissa probably won't be rooting too much for Lee Summit. She's a Bronco. She was a Lee Summit North Bronco, I think, if I'm correct on that one. So she nods
her head yes.
So she's probably not too fond of Lee Summit down there, but nevertheless. Huh?
She's let all those things go.
We got a third down coming up for the Cats as this round of the Jamboree is winding down here.
Okay, there's 36, and that is Tyler Brown. I believe his grandfather from California, so maybe he got the handoff.
Got right back to the line and was tossed down. So Grandpa getting to watch from California, watching his grandson take some handoffs here in this Jamboree. Remember, we're going to have all the Wildcat football games this season, and it starts for real next Friday night at Kearney, and we'll run down by memory. If my memory serves me right, it'll be at Kearney, home against Maryville the following week. The 13th of September will be at home against Blue Valley Northwest. That will be homecoming. And then the 20th, we will travel to Columbia and take on Columbia Battle High School. After that, we will have Excelsior Springs at home. And then we will travel to Warrensburg October 4th for the Warrensburg Tigers, and that'll be at Walton Stadium on the University of Central Missouri. Larissa will enjoy that. That'll be like a 3-minute walk for her over to the stadium. And then we'll have Pleasant Hill at home, at Oak Grove, and then a lot of people are talking about that final regular season game against Odessa, which could very possibly determine some of the outcomes of the MRVC West. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know a lot about Pleasant Hill and or Oak Grove this year, but a lot of people are talking about Harrisonville, Warrensburg, Excelsior Springs, and Odessa all at the top of the conference this year, with maybe Pleasant Hill taking a little bit of a step back. They got a new head coach, though. Moving over from Holden is Coach Hedrick, and he takes over the Pleasant Hill program. And then you have the Oak Grove Panthers, who have struggled the last couple of years. Of course, they're only about 4 years removed from a state championship, but have struggled the last couple of years. Excelsior Springs had a solid ball club last year. They ran all over us, literally ran all over us. I think they had like 1,700 yards rushing in that game. I'm a little bit off.
Felt like it.
But I'm pretty sure they were over 500 yards rushing in that game. You'll have to look. Gary, get those stats out. Gary's got those stats somewhere. They had a ton of yards against us rushing last year, and that was the game that Isaiah Patrick went out in early in that game, and they exploited the middle of the defense after that, and the Cats were never able to recover. They kept it close for most of the game, but were not able to come through the victory. So they're looking for some payback. And there's a couple of games on the schedule I think Harrisonville's looking for a little bit of payback. Odessa beat us 36-6. Harrisonville played well in that game. That was, I believe, River Riley's second start maybe, or it might have been his first start of the season. But I remember he started that ball game, and Cats kept it close for the first half. Odessa was able to score a couple late. And then looking at some of the other teams in the conference, I think Harrisonville would like to get a little bit of payback on their Cass County rival, the Pleasant Hill Roosters, who gave a thumping to the Wildcats last year, as well as Warrensburg did at home. So Cats got a couple of dates circled on the calendar, I am sure. Second round of our Jamboree is over. We're going to the third and final round. And Gary, you got some information for me?
600 yards and no passes. Not one pass the whole game's right at 600 yards, and that didn't include some return yards that they had. Probably total yards, I don't know.
I think they threw one time, but it was incomplete. Is that right?
I have zero.
He doesn't even have one on there. And he's probably correct, because I remember it was just like run. And they had that dual threat quarterback. Right. He rolled out, and it was three-headed monster. And
I think I even said at one point in time, don't even play the pass, because he's never passed. When he goes out, he's going to run anyway. So, yeah, it was you were correct. It was a run-and-shoot game.
You know, something we haven't talked about as well is the shakeup in districts this year as well. As I'll pull that up, Harrisonville is in a district. Raytown has dropped to Class 4. So you guys may see an assistant coach from Raytown in Harrisonville, or we may be going to Raytown to play a football game in districts. Coach Matt Pyle, I gave him a hard time today. I said, we may be seeing you in about 10 or 11 weeks. And he said, well, I hope so. But let me jump on and look here on Preps KC. Dion Clisso runs Preps KC, does a great job over there, has all of the stuff on there, as well as my friend Chad Rader at 810 Varsity. He does an amazing job as well. I've been on the phone with both of those guys several times in the last few weeks. It's amazing when you cover Harrisonville sports for long enough. When word gets out that a coach is going to have a coaching change, people start calling. I was like, hey, guys, I don't know. I'll find out. I don't know anything. So here we are. We're going to have our last and final round of the Jamboree. It'll be Liberty North and the Wildcats on the north side of the field. See what Liberty North's doing there. They are north, and
they're staying north.
They're staying on the north side. Okay, the district will look like this year. Grain Valley, Grandview, Harrisonville, Raytown South, Ruskin, Van Horn, and Warrensburg. So Ruskin and Raytown both dropping from Class 5 down to Class 4. And if you look at the District 8, that one is similar to what it's been in the past, except for East and Lincoln Prep are going north in that one, and Winnetonka has dropped down to Class 4 as well. So that one looks a little bit different, but that's got Smithville, the three-headed monster of the Northland, Smithville, Platte County, and Kearney all in the same district there.
Well, and we might get the opportunity to see Grain Valley again.
Absolutely. It's been a couple of years.
It has been.
And I'm pretty sure they've got a new press box.
Well, I sure hope so.
And I'm so excited. If I have to go to Grain Valley, we may actually have a new press
hopefully
box.
it'll be at home. But
Well, absolutely. Let's go 3 games at home in the playoffs. Harrisonville could score a lot of bonus points in those first 4 weeks. I say bonus points. They could definitely get bonus points if they were to beat Columbia Battle. And then obviously Class 6, I don't know how they do the Kansas side, but with it being a Class 6 school on the Kansas side, getting some points from beating Blue Valley Northwest. So.
Well, I don't think a while ago when you were talking about Odessa, their run last year, how successful they were as well. So,
and Odessa's road for this year looks a little bit different. Maryville dropping down to Class 2, along with St. Pius in North Kansas City. Hogan Prep also in Class 2 this year.
Back on offense.
Little floater out on the little bubble screen here from the running back. They were going to try to get it out to Polk and incomplete. And I will venture to guess you're going to see a whole lot of quick passes right here. We're not probably going to dial up any long distance, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think whether they're dialed up or not, I think they're going to be quick.
Yes. And we get to use the neat marker over there, Gary. 2nd and 10. I can tell because it's telling me.
You know, the beautiful thing about being up here in the press box and not having to keep stats is I can watch the game and not have to worry about how many yards somebody got. Nice run.
Polk right up the middle, found a seam and going to get almost
9 yards.
Almost 10 out of that. Well, Gary, I've been trying for a couple of years to get you to get the wheel that does the yardage for you.
As well, and I'll go ahead and say it because you'd probably mention it anyway. I'm old school, and it's kind of hard to change on some things.
You know, and here's what's funny about that is every year about 1st of August, me and Jerry are on a website on Facebook that's like play-by-play personalities and people, and everybody's always on there giving ideas, and everybody never fails for on there. Somebody always asks, what's the best way to keep stats on football? And 80% of the time, everybody says old-fashioned pen or paper and pencil.
Well, you know, if you had time, and I've enjoyed doing color, so I wouldn't want to go back to just keeping stats, but on the computer too, you can set it up, and all you got to do is put yard markers or where it's at, and it'll calculate for you, but I've never been real proficient at that. It's so much easier to just go ahead and write it down. And
the easiest thing to do is just go to a state championship game. You don't have to keep stats. They just hand them to you at the end of every quarter.
That's true. Oh, he's got some time. Oh, knocked down.
Oh, picked off. Right at the line of scrimmage, picked off. But, see, this is what I like about that. You don't see River walking back with his head hanging. He's just like, well, whatever, let's do it again. And you've got to have that.
You have got to have that as a quarterback. If you don't, that play right there will continue to hurt or haunt you for 2 or 3 plays, and you're not doing anything for your team. You've got to have that short memory, as they call it, at this level in playing quarterback.
See, we'll see about probably 3-4 more plays from our first run of guys, and then you'll probably see a mixture in there as both teams get to run 12 plays each. Oh, good swing pass out to Polk, and that's a hard pass to complete right there.
It is.
That's a wheel route to the outside. Not very many high school kids complete that pass.
Oh, absolutely. It's very difficult. Going to go down the line again because we don't get to mention them, and they're the unsung heroes a lot of times in the offense, and that's Graff, Poisel, Campbell, Rogers, and Garlock.
And I'm really impressed with the way they're blocking here against this larger Liberty North defensive line.
As long as you stay maybe low and get underneath their shoulder pads a little bit, that always kinds of help.
And I bet Zach would be the first to tell you the hardest pass completes a wheel route out of
absolutely.
the backfield.
Absolutely.
You got to hit it on the run, step away from yourself. That was a good completed pass. That was probably the best play we've seen out of the Wildcat offense.
And that's what I was saying. I've been really impressed with the way Rivers played in the blue and white scrimmage and also practices this year, is his capabilities of doing those things because they're going to need it.
Hey, it's 1st and 10. You know how I know that? Sorry, guys. I'm just dumb sometimes and have some fun. So, love the yard markers. We'll talk about that all year. Wait till we see it again. Another good, decent run by Polk. He was knocked in the backfield and able to keep his momentum going and get himself about a yard right there. So I like what I see out of the Wildcat offensive starters against this Liberty North squad here in this last bit of the Jamboree.
Yeah, and Polk goes out, Crowley comes in, and then you've got the receivers, so we can mention those, and that's Starwater Knowles, Atkinson, and Percival. And then you're also going to see a little bit more in the backfield. You'll probably see a little bit of Josh Pesic. So that's going to be looks like probably the main group of starters for our Harrisonville Wildcat team.
Minus Jace Reynolds, who's
minus Jace, yes,
not out there tonight.
Nice pass.
Quick out to Kennedy Atkinson. And this is what I want to see out of Kennedy a couple of times early on in the season. Those hits. Kennedy broke his leg against Warrensburg in the district championship game last year, and it was a side hit and broke it pretty severely. He was out all of basketball, and I don't even know that he got to play baseball either. So, and talking to his mom and dad, is Atkinson Funeral Home is one of our great sponsors, and his dad was like, he goes, biggest thing for him is going to be that first couple of times. David said, he goes, the first couple of times he gets hit down there to get a confidence back that you're not going to break your leg.
Well, and it's mental. I mean, that's a big thing because you're worried about whether or not it's going to break, whether or not it's going to give way. Another good pass.
And
great move.
Inside cut by Colby Knowles. And I'll tell you, what I like about Colby, he's a warrior. He took a licking and kept on ticking in that district title game last year after Kennedy went out. He was the last guy, last healthy receiver, and he took some hits. And by the end of that game, it was, limping up to the line of scrimmage, but he stayed out there and played the whole game. Tough kid. And you've seen it there. He wasn't afraid to cut back inside and get that extra couple of yards.
Absolutely. And that's part of that we're going to need that senior leadership. He's part of that senior crew that's going to especially on the offense, that we're going to need as far as leadership taking us through and into the playoffs. Coach
Schenker and Coach Meeks, though, probably had a little bit of a Andy Reid moment there and a Patrick Mahomes moment where they're like, Colby, go down. It's the Jamboree. We don't need that extra 3 yards today.
Yeah, but at this level, these young men, it's all out.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can't. It's hard for them to do those kind of things.
So 1st and goal, Tarwater in there at quarterback, inside the 5 down to
great hard run again by Polk.
Cats knocking on the doorstep down, a 2nd and goal coming up for them against Liberty North.
Be great to see a touchdown here against the hometown North group.
And I'm not sure I don't know if anybody has scored on North yet. We haven't been watching that much, but there's been a lot of cheers from the Liberty North side. I haven't heard much from the Lee Summit or the Ray Peck side that was over here.
I want to know, it's 2nd and what, though, Chad?
Oh, man. Now, why don't they have that up? This is terrible.
They should hold it over the goal line.
Oh, goodness. And another inside handoff by Polk, and into the end zone he goes.
He was able to work his way through and get a touchdown.
In the 8-10 varsity preview, when they were talking, Chad Rader talked to Coach Maxwell before coaching change, he had said you're going to see a lot of different running backs, and he mentioned Drayden Polk by name in that article, and he showed right there he can get you some of those yards. Those are good running yardage. And it's almost, Drayden hasn't had a lot of varsity experience. It's almost like this is the 3rd go-around of the Jamboree tonight, and he's finally starting to feel a little bit comfortable in that spot.
Well, and it takes a special person to be able to have that patience to wait or find that hole instead of just go where you're supposed to go. And so that's what's nice to see is he waited and had some patience and then found the hole to be able to get the touchdown.
Nice little throw by Tarwater out into the flats.
And that was the Norris Vance.
Vance Norris. Norris Vance, you're right, Norris Vance.
Don't question me. I think last year I was calling River, I called him something when we were the first or over at Odessa and you corrected me. I guess I did deserve to be corrected over there.
I mean, we talk about it. The one of the unique things about calling the same high school for so many years, you get brothers and even sisters that end up playing other sports, and you start calling them. It took me a year and a half to stop calling Logan Teal Landon Teal.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Mitchell Haug had the same problem in baseball. Kept calling him Derek. You know, I've had several of them over the years, calling them by different names. You had problems when you called the basketball game.
Oh yeah,
with Bailey Cleaver.
Bailey and her mom. I was calling her mom rather than Bailey. That was a pass to Andrew Cecil as a junior. It looks like that was our last series on offense, and now our first team defense is going to be back in. Yeah, it was Becca Cleaver and Bailey Cleaver. Both of them start with a B. I mean, I even apologized to both of them on the air. I think that was the game that I was calling by myself.
We had James, of course, James
and
Pesic, Josh Pesic.
And James is a coach, obviously. I think a lot of people probably know.
Tyler and Landon Hearn. I mean, we want to go through the list. We could be here all day talking about all the different brothers that have played football, some at the same time.
Now, this is what I'm excited about seeing. See how well we're going to be able to work on defense here.
And I was with you on that as well, is to see how well that front goes against the Liberty North front. And I like the pursuit. The only thing I've seen defensively that to clean up is the tackling.
Well, and Kyron Beavers actually, he extended that. He was in great position. He extended it. He was just on a block, and the runner was able to get past him, but he was still in great position there.
There just hasn't been a ton of good wrap-ups in the open field. And, you know, you want to see that first guy making that tackle.
Or at least holding him up while the rest of your team can come and help you.
Where you don't want that third or fourth guy being the one making the tackle.
I don't know, we've called Sean Carruthers' name. He just was assistant on the tackle just there.
Him and Carson Crowley playing the safety positions, it looks like, for the Cats. Of course, Tarwater and Knowles are your cornerbacks. And you know what I like about that, too, is those guys at cornerback is we got some length at cornerback. You know, a lot of times there's been some guys, that one's a run right up the middle.
Wow, who made that tackle?
And
I think that was Knowles. Whoever it was stood that big back up. He's a healthy guy.
He's large. Are we talking about Liberty North? You can tell they've been in the weight room. That is a given, and able to stand them up. But I feel like from the beginning of tonight, Gary, till now, I feel like you've seen
some maturity.
Maturity.
There was a hold on the outside. Still made a tackle. Got a hold. They didn't call it, but the guy got held out there, so he couldn't get outside and make the tackle.
But maturity and more confidence. I feel like they've gotten – this is what you want to do. You want to get better. And they've gotten better as this Jamboree has gone on.
Absolutely.
Especially defensively. From the first for the first round to the third round – looks totally different.
Well, and they're playing probably the best team out here.
Yeah. And they've looked the best against them. And
they have.
But you know what any coach will tell you over the years is you play competition level. I'm not saying anything because Ray Peck and Lee Summit are going to be great squads this year. And anybody that thinks they're not going to be, you know, Lee Summit was 6-4 last year. But I mean, Jerry could pull up the Class 6 district if we want to go through that. And you want to talk about a gauntlet. Blue Springs South, Lee Summit North, Lee Summit West, Liberty North, Staley. Like, there's no shortage of great teams in the Kansas City area on the Missouri side.
Actually, I remember going to a game at Staley between Lee Summit West, I think it was, and I think both teams scored over 80 points.
76-70 final.
Okay.
I was in the end zone with Ron Dunham. We went up to that game, and it was the fourth quarter, and Lee Summit West – I think Lee Summit West went up 14 late in the fourth quarter of that game, about 5-6 minutes left in the game, maybe a little bit more time. And Ron was like, man, you think we should get out of here? Let's see what Staley does here, see if they score. Staley scored, got a stop, scored again, and ended up quadruple overtime, 4 overtime, 76-70. Morgan Stewart, who ended up going to Mizzou to play running back, scored the game-winning touchdown right in the end zone, right where we were standing. And one of the assistants, obviously the head coach there at the time, Fred Bouchard, Phil Light, who was an assistant under Fred at Harrisonville. Also, we were in the end zone, and Quentin Hamner, a lot of people may remember his name. He was an assistant coach. He was actually at that game in the end zone when we were watching that unfold. It was definitely a fun time. Kind of an ill-advised throw right there as Brody Rogers got a little extra heat over here on the near side. And good funny story about Brody. So Chad Rader writes the article, the preview article for Harrisonville. Well, he got online. He was giving height and weights, and he got online and got on Max Preps and grabbed the roster. Well, I think the roster hasn't been updated height and weight wise since like freshman year for Brody. And he was like, it showed Brody as like 5'11", 185 pounds. And I was, of course, you know me being a smart aleck, I get on there and I put, wow. I go, wow, Brody, it looks like Brody shrank a little in the offseason. So everybody else jumps on board. Coach Meeks, gotta love him. He puts a GIF. By the way, they just talked the other day. They call it a GIF. Larissa may have a other opinion. The guy that created it apparently says it's pronounced GIF. I say GIF, but nevertheless, it was a picture from Finding Nemo, and it says, he's just a little guy, and he's swimming around. Coach Meeks put that on there. And so watching them all go back and forth about it, and of course, Chad Rader put out there, he was like, I'm just going by what I had. And I was like, Chad, you know we're all giving you a hard time. So Brody shrunk in the offseason, but then they got the correct height and weight for him and put it in the article and corrected it in the article.
Nice tackle open field by Braden Talley.
A lot of the youngsters in there now as we're winding down this Jamboree from Liberty North.
Say hello to Braden's dad, who's a deputy with Cass County.
Brett Jones always wanting
to.
It was 87-39 final
what
against
did I
Battle.
say?
You said 79. Well, I mean, who's going to say we stopped counting?
Maybe I ought to go back and look at my back sheet. I didn't look at the back part of my page.
Oh. Former Wildcat in the house, Travis Forschler makes his way into – we had too many Forschlers in the building at once.
I wonder why they call it 4 T's.
Right. There you go. Oh, yeah. Again, we want to thank all of our great sponsors as we're winding things down here. Troby's Maytag Home Appliance Center, Show Me Auto Mall, Holland's Auto Sales, Max Ford of Harrisonville, Lacey Dominic of Shelter Insurance, Cameron Chenoweth of American Family, Young's Tire and Wheel Center, Young's Automotive, Sherwood Community Bank, American Heritage Realtors, Forged by Fire, the new Uptown Events Space, which will be opened soon, Suzy Q Restaurant in Peculiar, the old Peculiar Drive-In, for all those wondering where the Suzy Q is, right across from the Frog Pond in Peculiar. Brad Sainer of Farmers Insurance, Hawthorne Bank, Sherwood Heating and Cooling, Schroeder Chiropractic, Stafford and Stafford Insurance, Atkinson Funeral Home, Chamber of Commerce of the Harrisonville Area Chamber of Commerce, the Dickey Cottage, Quality Auto, Sonic, and the Trade Fair. And there is still time, folks, if you want to be a sponsor, if you would like to be on board, grow your business. We are always about local businesses first. I've been in to talk to several. Got a couple that will probably be on starting next week. But just talking to local business owners, what I always stress to them is you've got to have top-of-mind awareness for your business. A lot of times people will head to the city without even thinking twice because they have more options, and they forget that right up the road is a Troby's Maytag to go get you a washer or dryer, or they forget down the street is Young's Tires, that you don't have to go to the big box stores. And you know what? I'll be the first to tell you that you may go to somewhere in town and you may spend $10, $15 extra dollars a piece, but how much time do you save of not going to the city? You have hometown, and that money goes right back into the community.
Absolutely.
It's not going to Walmart, and you go to Walmart and spend $287. That money is not staying in the community. That's headed down to Northwest Arkansas or somewhere else. Always think local. I can go down that whole list, and I do business with at least one of us do business with each and every one of them that are on our list, and that's what's important. And we want to grow their business, and we love that they support the Wildcats, and we have an enjoyable time every year. That's one of the reasons we can have 4 of us up here in the booth, is because of those great sponsors. We're able to have a big team. We're able to do video. We're able to do audio. We're able to do all of that, and we just want to thank our sponsors, and we would love to have you on board as well for the duration of the season. We have a lot of new packages this year. We're also we're going to expand a little bit this year. We have a monthly package that's available, and we're going to do some soccer. We're going to do some softball. We may do a volleyball match. We're going to do a wrestling meet. Jerry and I are excited in the spring. We're doing a track meet at some point. Somehow we're going to figure out how to do a track meet, and we're going to have some fun with it. So come on board, have fun. The Jamboree is over, as I'm just rambling on and talking, but we've got the camera out there. To me, positives I saw from tonight, Gary, from the beginning of this Jamboree till the end, I saw growth on both sides of the ball, and that's what you want in a Jamboree.
Maturity, and gave the kids some experience. And, there's nothing like game experience, and that's what they were able to get tonight. And so the experience, the growth that they got from the beginning to the end of this, and got to see a lot of the kids, that may at the very beginning were a little apprehensive about different things, whether they're coming back from an injury, whether it's the first time on the field or whatever, gave them the opportunity to get in a game experience. And I saw a lot of great things on the offense and the defense. I mean, here at the very end, when they were going against North, they scored a touchdown. They held North. I mean, I think North ended up maybe getting a touchdown or two. But I saw a lot of good things, and I'm looking forward to seeing really how this progresses into the season, because you said it several times, it doesn't start out easy and it doesn't end easy, with the schedule we've got. So I'm excited about seeing what they're going to be able to produce and give us during the season. We
talked about the schedule. You start with a 5-time state champion next Friday night in Kearney. It doesn't get any easier. Then you have a 6- or 7-time state champion coming down to Harrisonville and Maryville the following week. Then you have Blue Valley Northwest, who's a Class 6 Kansas program. And then you go to Columbia Battle, who has been a state champion in Class 5 and been to the semifinals in 3 of the last 5 years. Great programs. Well, then, okay, great. Then we get right into conference season. You have Excelsior Springs, who pounded us for 600 yards of rushing and no passing last year, as we were talking about. And then you go down the list. After that, you have Warrensburg at Warrensburg. They beat us twice last year. Harrisonville looking for revenge there. Pleasant Hill at home. Then you're at Oak Grove, and then you're home against Odessa. So I'm going to say 7 out of those 9 games, or 6 out of those 9 games are against teams with winning records last year. And that's going to be a tough task
It
come
is.
this fall.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the first home game, even though you're not going to be there. A couple of things. Well, I'm going to see what it's like to kind of sit in your chair. But also, I want to throw a shout out to my wife. She's going to be recognized that game. And so, kind of in between what I'm doing, I'm going to try to get out on the field, be able to spend a little time with her and the family because all the family is going to be here. So I want to make sure that throw a shout out to her and tell her how much I appreciate it and how excited I am for her to be able to be recognized. It was supposed to be in basketball last year. A couple of things happened, with weather and everything. To be quite honest with you, I love football. So I'd much rather her being recognized in front of the football stadium than in basketball season. So anyway, I wanted to throw a shout out to her.
Be a little bit warmer for Denise next Friday than it would have been during the basketball season last year as well.
Absolutely.
So congratulations to her going into the Wall of Honor. So that is a huge accomplishment for her. One of the first, I believe, was she the first female deputy patrol officer in Cass County?
She was the first female deputy officer, and she was also the first female deputy officer that went through the ranks to the rank of captain, which was, for all practical purposes, the highest non-elected position with the Sheriff's Department. She was number 2 under the elected sheriff. So she 30 years of over 30 years in law enforcement, and so she should be commended for all that she did, not only for herself, for the city or the county and for the citizens, but also for women in law enforcement. So
well, and between the two of you, I'm sure you guys enjoyed the recognition the Harrisonville youth football program has gotten with their jerseys. It's taken off. I don't know if you haven't seen it. Their uniforms this year are basically blue-black flag, thin blue line on the uniforms. It's blue, white, and black, and Fox News was on that. They interviewed the kids, and it's something really neat for Harrisonville to get some recognition for. But you know what? It's football season.
It is.
It's been a long time coming, as Braxton said about 3 weeks ago before the Chiefs played. He said, "Dad, is the Chiefs ever going to play again?" Same thing for the Wildcats. Are they ever going to play? Guess what? It's for real next Friday night at Kearney, and we will have all the Wildcat games on 4Ts.com, or search and subscribe on our 4Ts channel on YouTube, and you can see all the games live, home and away. If you can't make it to the game, of course, we want you out at the games as much as possible, but if you cannot make it, this is a great alternative to pull up on your TV, your laptop, your computer, your iPad, whatever it may be.
Even on your phone.
On your phone.
Not while you're driving down the roadway now, but pull it up on your phone and enjoy it there as well.
So I want to thank you guys for coming up here. We've had a good time tonight. For our new camera person, Larissa Lamb. For Gary Davidson, for Jerry Forschler, I'm Chad Grammer saying good night from Liberty North. We'll see you next Friday night from Kearney.